you guys are going to need some more bag checkers, because what else are you guys doing for security as well? Because obviously things are going to be elevated and heightened, especially after what just happened. So
I can tell you that we're working with the Secret Service of Trump's team.
nice.
We're working now with the Secret Service of RFK.
Mm-hmm.
And we already have the best private security team in the world contracted with this event.
Nice.
And it's going to be incredibly secure, and they're handling it in the most professional way.
Floyd Mayweather. That was I don't know if you remember that.
I was in charge of programming that event. As I'm peeking my head around, I hear Floyd say, "I really think of Bitcoin as Lyft and as something else as Uber, and like the Uber is coming." And I was like, "Oh my god!" I just collapsed. I was like, what just happened? But fun fact about that, he actually showed up in an Ethereum Max shirt. Some like random fork of an Ethereum,
some kind of Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember some of my friends were texting me about that. I'm like, you guys are gonna get fucking wrecked, and they're like, we don't care. We're just trying to make a quick buck. I'm like, okay, well, you're gonna get fucking wrecked.
Idiotic project. And so someone had convinced him to wear this shirt on stage, and I was backstage as he was going on, and I told him he had to change shirts before he could get on, and he was upset. Like, he almost just threw his hands up and left. But I was like, sorry, dude, you can't get on stage with an Ethereum Max shirt. And so he then like went into the green room, and he like picked out one of his bodyguards. Dude, the guy ran deep with like 18 bodyguards, like massive bodyguards. So he just picked one of them. He's like, give me your shirt.
Is there a possibility that it could be Elon Musk making an appearance at the conference? Am I hitting on something here?
Oh, it's a great question. Yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't be able to confirm that, but you know.
But you can't deny. You're not denying it, right?
I'm not denying it outright, but I wouldn't want to set people's expectations up for something crazy.
Okay. Well, Donald Trump's pretty crazy. That's a pretty crazy one. So.
We kind of have a sacred job here. We're the biggest event in Bitcoin, and a lot of people look at us to help set narratives around the space. And if we're gonna make editorial decisions on who is and isn't allowed to be part of the conversation, that is an incredibly bold and I think kind of anti-Bitcoin position to take, right? Like, so that
goes against the ethos of Bitcoin directly. Exactly. But
which is why we keep the editorial policy like very standard and very broad, which is if you are interacting with main chain Bitcoin, you have a seat at the table in this conversation.
So what's going on, brother? You guys excited for Bitcoin 2024?
Dude, I'm so excited. I can tell you, I've planned many an event now, and most of the time, there's just so much happening, and you're like, man, I cannot wait for this to all be over. Like, for the hurricane to pass and all this kind of stuff.
Trust me, I hear you.
Not this time. Not this time. This time, I am freaking pumped. This is going to be incredible.
So you're who I have to blame, because now I have to fly all the way to Nashville. Before I could have just get in my car and drive across Alligator Alley and I'd be right there.
Dude, yeah, no, it's all my fault, but it'll be worth it. I promise.
That's what I've heard. So hope you guys don't let me down. But I don't think you will.
I don't think we will. I don't think we will.
Best conferences of the year, hands down.
Thank you.
So I've got some questions for you here, and I had my team help put some together as well. They had some questions, so it's going to be questions from all over the political aisle, all sorts of from the proponents to the skeptics, and all sorts of stuff. So
amazing.
Let's dive right in here. Obviously, the big headline guest this year is Donald Trump, so that's a pretty big fish to land for the Bitcoin conference. So kudos to you guys for that one. That's a huge one.
It was a long time coming. Long time coming, but very worth it.
So my first question for you here. Donald Trump has previously labeled Bitcoin a scam and criticized its competition with the US dollar. Yet he's now speaking at a Bitcoin conference. How do you reconcile these inconsistencies in his stance? Do you believe his participation reflects a genuine interest in the technology, or is it driven by political or financial motivations?
All right, we're kicking off easy. So, I would break that into kind of two parts. First of all, that he had called it a scam in the past.
Mhm.
Some of Bitcoin's biggest proponents started off thinking Bitcoin was a scam. Michael Saylor is famous for, in 2014 talking about like, oh, Bitcoin will never work. The Larry Fink was a big person saying like Bitcoin is a scam, et cetera, et cetera. And now he runs a Bitcoin ETF. So I don't think that just because someone says it's a scam when they first learn about it is a bad thing. If anything, it means that they're paying attention and it's the beginning of their journey learning more about it. And Bitcoin is a journey. So it's exciting to see how Trump's journey is evolving. To the second part of, is this just opportunistic? Uh, it isn't, but like he's an entrepreneur. So when you're thinking about like what would it take for a president of the United States to actually get on board with Bitcoin or see, the opportunity of being pro Bitcoin, that is an opportunity. Like it is opportunistic in that way. So, it requires someone who is an entrepreneur, who sees opportunities, who activates around them. And this just shows that Trump sees Bitcoin as a massive opportunity for the United States. And so for that reason, yes, maybe he's changing his mind because he sees the opportunity, but that's incredibly bullish for the whole industry because he sees the opportunity of what this industry means for America, and he doesn't want to see it go overseas, as he said. So I'm very excited by that.
Nice. I agree. I mean, I think that's it's most boomers that I've met at first are very skeptical, and I think that's just part of life's experience, right? Be skeptical at first, and that's just its natural reaction is to be skeptic. And what is this
Totally.
what is this magic internet money? This orange coin? What is this stuff, right? So
Well, and think about it this way, right? Like he's approaching 80, right?
Mhm.
In terms of age.
Yeah.
Imagine trying to explain to your grandpa about what Bitcoin is,
Yeah.
and Trump probably gets it better than your grandma or your grandpa
Yeah,
does.
I mean,
So
it's hard to believe. Yeah, he's almost 80 years old. What is he, 80 years old? I mean, yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, so it does seem like you've watched sort of this natural evolution that we've seen with others like Larry Fink. And I think that from what I read online recently, it looks like Jamie Dimon now might be coming around too. So maybe Trump orange pilled him. I think that's what that.
Trump claims
So,
credit for that, right? So I mean, already you're starting to see the
yeah,
machinations of
yeah.
him really becoming a
Mhm.
Bitcoiner, talking about it with other people. I mean, it's super exciting.
Trump has an ordinals collection too, right? And then he's got an NFT collection on Ethereum. So I think he's starting to demonstrated the technological usefulness of the technology and these different things. I think that's starting to register and click with him. But and I think Ryan Selkis is majorly responsible, I think, in a big way. And a lot of those people who bought, I think, his Ethereum NFTs, it had some utility to go meet with him at Mar-a-Lago or something like that, and then they just all got in a room with him and just orange pilled him and crypto pilled him, I guess.
It's
So
awesome.
kind of interesting to see the use case of the technology there. Um, so this leads me into my next question, which kind of hinges on the first question, but um, how do you respond to concerns that inviting a polarizing figure like Trump could overshadow the conference's focus on innovation and education? And it's not just for Trump, but just people in general, right? We've got all sorts of personalities. Yeah, like Russell Brand, for example, people across the ideological spectrum, and you and me are probably thinking, and my first thought is Bitcoin is for everybody, right? So it's good that people can see these useful factors in it. But let's take it a little deeper. Like, what are your thoughts? Um,
Yeah, so
Expound on
I'll
that
take you
further.
behind the scenes a little bit, behind the
Uh huh.
curtain. The way that we actually view the conference is it is in and of itself a tool for hyper Bitcoinization.
Hmm.
And so that means where we put it, the location of it is a useful tool to negotiate with a new city about how they view Bitcoin. What do they think about Bitcoin? What sort of policies are in place around Bitcoin that are positive for the industry, et cetera. And obviously, when we were in Miami, you saw the city of Miami be very pro Bitcoin and do a lot to really foster innovation and foster development of the crypto and Bitcoin industry in Miami. We'll have announcements at the conference regarding the state of Tennessee and the city of Nashville with regards to Bitcoin and crypto and open source development. And so, I think that that's a real spur by having a conference there. In a similar way, sometimes the speakers that we have at the event don't know a ton about Bitcoin, and the goal is to show them why this is an important thing to pay attention to. And so if we get them to the event, they're talking about Bitcoin as they understand it. They're early on their journey, but they're in this crowd of passionate people who believe in it and are excited by it, and flying across the country in order to come meet other Bitcoiners. They can't just ignore that. They don't just ignore that. And so we've had a lot of speakers in the past who have come through who didn't know much about Bitcoin and then came to the conference, and next thing you know, they're talking about it way more often, or they're talking about it on their show. And so, there's that element as well.
That's been largely successful. The only time I think I've ever seen that backfire was like Floyd Mayweather. That was I don't know if you remember that a couple of years ago. But man, that was a wild one.
I was I was in charge of programming that event, and I remember exactly where I was. I was behind the stage, kind of on the right side if you were looking at the stage, and I head around to see how the fireside was going. And as I'm peeking my head around, I hear Floyd say, "I really think of Bitcoin as Lyft and as something else as Uber, and like the Uber is coming." And I was like, "Oh my God." I just collapsed to the floor. I was like, what just happened? But fun fact about that, he actually showed up in an Ethereum Max shirt, some like random fork of an Ethereum,
some kind of Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember when some of my friends were texting me about that. I'm like, "You guys are gonna get fucking wrecked," and they're like, "We don't care. We're just trying to make a quick buck." I'm like, "Okay, well, you're gonna get fucking wrecked."
Idiotic project. And so someone had convinced him to wear this shirt on stage, and I was backstage as he was going on, and I told him he had to change shirts before he could get on, and he was upset. Like, he almost just threw his hands up and left. But I was like, "Sorry, dude, you can't get on stage with an Ethereum Max shirt." And so he then like went into the green room, and he like picked out one of his bodyguards. Dude, the guy ran deep with like 18 bodyguards, like massive bodyguards. So he just picked one of them. He's like, "Give me your shirt." The guy just took off his shirt and he changed shirts real quick and went on stage. It's nuts.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What does this guy need 18 bodyguards for? I mean, he's like one of the strongest guys there is. What is he doing?
Yeah, who's gonna go up to him and be like,
who's gonna mess with the baddest dude around? I mean, that's just crazy.
Silly.
Oh man, that's too funny. Let's see here. What's up with the situation? Obviously there was an assassination attempt. How did the conversation go with Trump's team after that, or with Trump himself? I think it was, did David maybe talk to him?
Yeah, so we obviously the whole team was talking. Oh, can you hear me?
Maybe it's my headphones.
Test. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me, Brandon?
Yeah, can you hear me?
You can hear me. Okay. Let's see here.
Brandon, I can hear you fine, so it's definitely on Maddie's side.
Oh, I can hear you. Yeah, you're good.
Good.
Okay, awesome.
I got you back.
Fantastic. So the question about kind of the reaction to the assassination attempt. Yeah, we were all online, like my entire team online, reacting to that in real time. It was a very emotional moment for us, of course, because he was speaking of the event in less than 2 weeks. But of course, many of us were very excited about all the momentum that he was carrying with it, and excited to see him in Nashville. And so watching him go down in real time was frankly terrifying. And then watching him get up was the biggest relief I think I've ever felt in my entire life. Just, my own personal reaction. And so then, obviously we just stayed out of it. We didn't want to say anything to them and just kind of let that situation work out. We heard from his team the following morning However, that he was in very good spirits and he was very excited to see everybody in Nashville, and we were full steam ahead. So, we didn't know whether what he was going to plan to do, and sure enough, he was pretty galvanized by it, to really move forward and not let it change anything. So, yeah, that's kind of the skinny of it.
Did you guys actually get the chance to talk to him, or was it more just his team kind of conversation? Or
directly after that, it was his team.
It was his team. Okay, gotcha. Okay, well, that's great news that he's still staying the course. Let's see here. So, kind of touching on this issue, I know we kind of talked about like different figures, whether it be Floyd Mayweather or Donald Trump or Russell Brand or people like that, people that just, some people love, some people hate. They've got interesting, fun personalities, whatever it may be, might rub some people the wrong way, might make some people happy. I have spoken with people higher up on your team before, off the record. And your take is not I would say, the only opinion, right? I've heard and I personally disagree with this. I think Bitcoin is for everybody. We should include it. Doesn't matter, what your deal is. If you're pro Bitcoin, you should be there, whether you're liberal, conservative, communist, capitalist, whatever, anarcho-capitalist, whatever it is, right? Bitcoin is for everybody. But I have heard higher ups on the Bitcoin media team express the opposite opinion, basically say, I'm not going to name any names here, but basically say we can't have people like that, at the conference speaking. It's our image, it's our brand. How has that been internally, and who, have you guys come to a cohesiveness around that, or do people still very opinionated? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, it's a great question, and one that I haven't really gotten before. What I would say is that, first of all, our opinions on our team run the gambit. We have the most toxic of Bitcoin maximalist kind of guys on our team. And we've got the most unbiased, I guess is a strange word, but unfocused on Bitcoin kind of guys that love all of crypto, but they love Bitcoin, and we got everyone in between, right? So where I think my opinion lies with all of that, of course, is kind of what you articulated. I think kind of everyone belongs in the conversation with Bitcoin, because the goal is for everyone to use Bitcoin, and to limit the way in which someone thinks about Bitcoin or interacts with Bitcoin. That limits an entire scope of adoption and an entire method by which people could find value in it. And so I don't want to limit that. Do I have my own opinions of what I think, how I think people should think about Bitcoin? Absolutely, I do. But we kind of have a sacred job here. We're the biggest event in Bitcoin, and a lot of people look at us to help set narratives around the space. And if we're gonna make editorial decisions on who is and isn't allowed, really who isn't allowed to be part of the conversation, that is an incredibly bold and I think kind of anti-Bitcoin position to take, right? So
it goes against the ethos of Bitcoin directly, exactly. But
yeah, which is why we keep the editorial policy very standard and very broad, which is if you are interacting with main chain Bitcoin, you have a seat at the table in this conversation. And so, that's how we try and stick to, and it's worked well for us so far.
I like that. So when you guys were interacting with the Trump team, and also I think I heard David mention you guys were talking to the Biden team as well. What was the differences in those interactions? How did you guys come across? What was your takeaway when you guys were meeting with those different teams? I think you said at one point on an interview, it might have been with Robert Breedlove or somebody else, that you felt that one was much more likely to come through than the other. How was those interactions?
This is a very good question, and it's one that I actually can't quite tell you what my final conclusion on it is.
Mhm.
What I will say is obviously when I was talking on Breedlove about one's more likely to come in than the other, Trump was more likely to come in than Biden at that point, and sure enough, he did come in. Um, the Biden situation is interesting because it's hard to know how much of this is they don't prioritize Bitcoin and how much of it is like he's just not public anywhere. You know, he's not going and doing the rounds, period. And he's certainly not going to be doing it around something that's highly technical, skews
Mhm.
younger, you know, is a little bit unscripted. Like,
Mhm.
I'm not surprised that it didn't work out. That being said, and I know this is crazy to say, but we are still a week away from the event and there are
Yeah.
rumors that there could be changes in the Democratic ticket over the weekend.
Mhm.
And it's a legitimate scenario that we're game planning around. That the sentiment and the conversations we're having on the Democratic side of the aisle could change very quickly.
Yeah.
And so we're preparing for, you know, maybe nothing happens, but maybe something could happen there where all of a sudden someone emerges as a potential speaker on that side.
Wonder what the poly market's saying right now. What are the
Yeah.
odds that Biden hangs around another week? It doesn't seem like he's going to make it, but he seems adamant. Um, who knows? I guess we'll have to see. I'm about to pull up poly market right now and see. The odds are literally change on a daily basis. So,
Semi-daily. I mean, they're changing like
yeah,
by the hour.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It looks like the Democratic nominee. It looks like there's a 71% chance that he drops out of the race, and Kamala Harris is looking at 49% to be the nominee. This is interesting.
I mean,
Yeah,
that means Kamala is less likely than she is to be the nominee. You know, like 49%. That's less than
yeah,
51%. So less than the coin flip.
yeah. Well, it's basically a coin flip. Joe Biden's 31%, and then the field is the rest, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a 71% chance he drops out of the race. The question is just a matter of when. I don't know how he can continue, honestly. I mean, you know, but just as far as interacting with the teams, what was the difference between the two teams? Did you notice any difference? Was it largely the same experience? Uh,
You know, I don't think that I'm sharing anything that isn't kind of well known,
mhm,
but it is just very difficult to book Biden for public unscripted events,
mhm,
period. And
yeah,
so, you know, it was one of those things where I wouldn't say that we got too deep into the process with his team.
mhm,
However, we were talking to the right people to make it
okay,
happen.
gotcha.
So, you know, like, and again, I do not take the fact that he hasn't confirmed as a signal necessarily that the Biden campaign doesn't value this opportunity. And I
Mhm.
more take it as just a moment in time where it's very hard to make something like this happen.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Um, okay. Let's see. One thing I heard is you guys are doing some kind of kids camp or something this year. I mean,
We
I
are.
might have to change up my plans here and bring my family. So, what's
Dude,
going
well, that's
on?
the
Talk to
goal.
me.
That's the
Tell me,
goal.
tell me
So,
what this even is. What's the deal here? I heard a little bit
so
about it on Breedlove's on your interview with Breedlove, but I want to hear some more details.
absolutely. You know, this is like one of the more fun things that we were planning kind of from the get-go is
Hmm.
there's like a cohort of Bitcoiners that have grown up with Bitcoin. You know, maybe they found about it in college or even in high school, and a lot of them are now married with families, and you know they still want to come to the Bitcoin conference. And it's one of those things where how cool would it be for them to bring their families and the families to meet each other? I mean, these are people who've some of them have been in Bitcoin for a decade plus. Some people are new, but love Bitcoin, and you know they want their kids to meet other Bitcoiners' kids. Uh, and so you know it was just this really fun idea of let's create a space for families to be able to come to Nashville, because Nashville you can drive there, right? You don't have to fly. Maybe you do if you're in Miami, but
Hmm.
it's got a very drivable radius, and so it's easy to pack the family in the car, drive on over to Nashville, and yeah, take your kids to camp while you're kind of enjoying the craziness of the Bitcoin conference. So it's our first year doing it. We've had massive success. We actually sold out of it within like a couple of days when we first announced it, and then we like doubled the capacity. And I think maybe we've got like one or two slots left.
Wow.
So it's effectively sold out.
Oh, wow.
And
So what's the
yeah,
cost? How does it work? What does it entail?
the cost there's kind of like two costs. There's one if you just want to kind of bring your kid to this child area and let them play around and hang out for the day. And then there's a second cost, which is like this BSTEM. I don't know if you ever heard of BSTEM.
No.
It's this actual kind of educational curriculum that's been developed by some really cool people, and it kind of teaches kids a lot of like very hands-on, but a lot of the basics of like, well, what is Bitcoin, and it's not just Bitcoin focused. Like it's kind of more inspiring kids to be interested in science and Bitcoin and technology and all that kind of stuff. And so it's our first time piloting it, but it seems really, really cool. I'm very excited for it. And I think this is going to be a smash hit. Like I think we're going to have to go even bigger next year because it's sold out, and a lot of people have been hitting us up saying like, man, if I'd known about this earlier, I would have.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Well, we'll know about it for next year because we're going to push this out.
For sure.
So what's the cost, and is it for all age? Do you have, is it class specific? Because like I have a daughter who's 6, right, and then I have a son who's like 11. So are there different age group classes, different instructors? I mean, what's the cost?
Yeah, great question. So if you go to the website and it's under experience tab, you go to summer camp. That's what we're talking about here. The age ranges. See, you're checking me on some specific details here. So let me make sure I answer this correctly.
All right, I'm gonna pull this up too.
Age ranges are from 6 to 12.
Okay.
Especially for the BSTEM, so that's that curriculum, and it's $350.
Is this under Satoshi Summer Camp? Is that what that is?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
So yeah, you can see all the details on that site, but it's cool, man. And we got the Tuttle twins. I don't know if you've ever seen any of their.
Yeah, they've got some great content. That's some fantastic content. I mean, that's what the younger generation needs to see, right? So that's
100%.
Yeah.
So it's very aligned by just like let's teach kids how to explore, how to have a sense of wonder again, and have a little fun. And I just think it's amazing.
Let's see, where can I see the price on this? So there's just a regular camp, and then there's camp plus the BSTEM. Okay, so 350 and 350 covers per kid for 2 days. I guess that's the what it is. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna bring my kids next year. This is really cool. Wow.
Amazing.
Very.
I think it's gonna be great. Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah. Sorry, I wasn't able to find this before. You pointed me in the right direction.
Dude, we got to do something about our website. There's like so much. We've made so many cool things this year that are like new, and it's hard to figure out how to like place it all on the website.
Trust me, I
stumble on it.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. I totally know what you mean, because there's experience. There's all these different things, and if you wouldn't have told me it was like, if you wouldn't have told me specifically, I would have never even noticed it.
Yeah.
All right. So what is something that you're most excited about for this conference? Like something that you guys haven't done before, or something that you're just you're most excited about? You personally.
Me personally. So I'm, like you said in the beginning of the call, I'm born and raised in Nashville. And it's my fault that we, took this event out of Miami. And that was, even though Miami has a great freaking Bitcoin community and awesome people, and the city's so supportive, but we wanted to use that conference to try and orange pill another city, right? And so why not take it home? Why not take it to where our headquarters are? Why not, all of that. And so we brought it to Nashville, and dude, Nashville is incredible for a city. There's a lot of people who are coming who have never been before. And there's a lot of people who've never been before. They're like, oh, Nashville in July, it's going to be super hot. And what they don't realize is Nashville in July is when the city shines. It is the best time to go to Nashville. You have the 4th of July, you got CMA Fest right around that time. It's when people want to come. And so it's going to be this scenario where the conference center is a block off of Nashville. I mean, it is in the heart of downtown. So everyone's going to go enjoy the conference for the day. They're going to spill out outside into this block party that we have planned, where they're going to be able to like get some food, listen to some music, party a little bit. And then on the other side of that block, basically, is Broadway, where they're then going to be able to go out, get drinks, listen to like dance. It is going to be so much fun. So just taking over the city is going to be an experience unlike anything else. I mean, I'm so pumped for people to experience that. So that's like letting people see my home is what I'm especially excited about. And I think that Bitcoiners specifically just will vibe with Nashville so well. And then outside of that, of course, you know, some of the content we have planned, I think is just going to knock people's socks off. I think that, you know, fundamentally, we have an opportunity to change the world next week. And I think we might be able to do it. Like, I think it might happen. So I cannot wait for that special moment, or maybe special moments that we have planned that people will remember for the rest of their lives. And, you know, I like I said, I did all the content, I did all the programming for 2021. 2021 was the El Salvador announcement for legal tender.
Is that when you made me wait in that line in Wynwood for like 4 hours?
Yes, but that is just the content. All right, you can't blame me on the line.
I'm blaming you.
I just ran all the content.
I'm just kidding. That was awesome. It was fun.
No,
that was probably the longest line I've ever stood in my entire life.
Well, you know what?
If it wasn't for Bitcoin, I wouldn't have done it. I don't know what happened. Maybe you guys were just taking too long to check everybody in or something. I don't know.
So what ended up happening is that one of our speakers, I won't, you know, for the sake of not saying exactly who it was, you can probably figure it out who it was, but one of our speakers FOMO'd in at the last second and had his own security needs. One of those needs being a full bag check of any person who was bringing a backpack. And we only had like one bag checker for our security line. And of course, every single person showed up with that.
That's hilarious.
And so it like literally slowed down the entire thing, that we were just like one by one having to search every single person's bag as we shuffled 10,000 people plus, you know, through the doors. So that was the big mistake, is that bag checker. And if we could do it all over again.
Who is this? Was this Jack?
It could have been. It could, you know, who knows, right? But yeah, it was a last second security change that just like massively wrecked us. The actual
he pissed everybody off twice in that one.
Yeah, no. Getting your wristband.
He was not expecting all those boos with all of his little censorship regime at Twitter. He was not expecting that.
Yeah, I know. And then Laura Lugner came out of nowhere. It's crazy. But yeah, all that to say, I was very close to the content. I was running the content for 2021. I knew what we had cooking for that event.
That was a great
event. I know what we have cooking for this event. I'm overseeing the whole event, and I'm telling you, this is going to blow people's minds.
So just to go into specifics here as well, then, you know, obviously in Nashville, with everything that's transpired, especially with having a president and another presidential candidate, and RFK Jr. there, you guys are going to need some more bag checkers, because what else are you guys doing for security as well? Because obviously things are going to be elevated and heightened, especially after what just happened. So, what on your end are you guys doing to prepare for that?
Tons. You know, I'm not a security expert, so it doesn't mean much coming from me. I can tell you that we're working with the Secret Service of Trump's team.
Nice.
We're working now with the Secret Service of RFK. And we already have the best private security team in the world contracted with this event.
Nice.
And it's going to be incredibly secure, and you know, they're handling it in the most professional way. So there's tons we're doing that you'll see. There's tons we're doing that you won't see, and our goal is to just make it as smooth as possible for everybody, and no 4-hour lines.
Okay, that's good to hear. There's no 4-hour lines.
Yeah. You only learn those lessons once, man.
That's the only thing that sucks about like when there's a bull market and the conference like coincides with it. It's like fuck.
Yeah.
It's good and bad
Yeah.
at the same time, you know. How does the conference touch on and address some of the current regulatory concerns in the Bitcoin and larger crypto space? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, dude, I mean, we're trying to address them head on.
Yeah.
If we can get the next regime that runs the United States to be pro Bitcoin, then that's a huge win. I mean, that fixes a lot of problems right up front. I'll also say we have tons of senators and congressmen coming to this event who are in various states of learning about Bitcoin and being excited about Bitcoin. Obviously, the Senator Lummises of the world who've been advocating for it for years, to some that I'm talking to today, that I've talked to this morning, who are learning more about it and seeing the opportunity. So yeah, it's rapidly changing and rapidly growing in terms of the constituency that wants to regulate Bitcoin in a positive way. And I actually think the conference is a big reason why we're seeing that accelerate.
What are your thoughts on companies like MicroStrategy, obviously with their Treasury Reserve strategy? I think MetaPlanet's a new one. What are your thoughts on that and how that are you seeing more of a company presence at the Bitcoin conference from year to year? Obviously, you're on the inside, so you can kind of see these trends. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, it's definitely a trend. Definitely a trend for this year.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely more to come on that is all I'll say. But certainly a trend.
Okay, all right. A little Easter egg. We got a little Easter egg. What about the ETFs? Are you pro ETF? Are you against it? What are your thoughts, personally?
I think the ETFs were an inevitability.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not useful to be pro or anti. I do think that they will eventually rug, either through 6102 or just something will happen where everyone who has their Bitcoin locked up in an ETF will get screwed by it. But that is an inevitability along the path of hyper Bitcoinization. So, it's not like we get to go straight up and to the right. It's not like everything just gets to work out perfectly. Like, we're going to have things thrown at us, and the ETFs will eventually get used against Bitcoin. But
a bit of a spicy contrarian take here. All right.
But Bitcoin will overcome.
Okay.
It's just part of the journey.
Not your keys, not your coins, I guess. Well, I hope they don't rug my 401 my Roth IRA. So
they probably will. They probably will.
I'm hoping that doesn't take place.
Hey, so but the MicroStrategies of the world are an interesting rebuttal to that. There's something to be said about
custodying your coins at Coinbase.
Yeah, well, sure. How they're custodying it can vary from company to company who might be doing it, and as maybe risks start to increase, they'll want to re-examine how they're custodying their coins. But yeah, like ultimately, that is private property of those corporations, and not every corporation is American. And so it's not necessarily going to be a unilateral thing if with some of these companies that are owning Bitcoin. So it'll be an interesting dynamic. I don't know how it'll play out.
It will be interesting. As far as I know right now, most of these companies are custodying with Coinbase's institutional service. So that ain't, I wouldn't say that's much better than what the ETFs are, because I think the ETFs are also custodying with Coinbase because the regulations have made it so complicated for other custodians to come in. So it's pretty much just Coinbase custodying everything, which is
the
pretty such a point of failure.
The Hong Kong ETFs are not custodying with Coinbase.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, so and the reason is that the Hong Kong regulators wanted Hong Kong ETFs to custody with Hong Kong custodians.
Makes sense. As it should be.
Yeah. So I mean, do
you know what percentage of ETF flows and volumes these Hong Kong ETFs represent? Is it sub 1% still, or is it higher than that, you think?
I haven't checked in recently. I'm sure it's not anything crazy, but I'm also certain that it's not zero. So it'll be a thing to watch, but I'm not surprised that it's not taking over kind of BlackRock's ETF in terms of volume.
Yeah. Okay. And then I think the next domino to fall eventually here will be nation states using Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset. I think Trump recently mentioned some stuff about this, and I think this is really the smart game theoretical play. What are your thoughts there? Do you see that taking off and accelerating? Is this something that we, maybe look at 4 years from now in the next cycle, which will be much more of a narrative? Do you see that happening today, sooner? What are your thoughts?
No one knows what Trump's gonna say or do except for Trump himself.
That is true.
So, I couldn't comment on what I think
Uh-huh.
he's gonna do.
Uh-huh.
All I can say is it would be really cool if he were to think about Bitcoin as a strategic asset, and yeah, like would love to see that happen. Do I think from a high level that we could see it happen in the next 4 years? Totally possible. I mean, I think like Bitcoin can continue to accelerate way quicker and way bigger than anyone thinks and anyone expects. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I truly don't know.
What would you say that your biggest challenges have been in putting on such a large scale conference, and how have you overcome them and grown over time?
I mean, dude, we can talk about that for hours. Like the challenges have been
I was thinking
every
like 5 to
single
10
thing.
minutes, but
Yeah, every single thing that we do, it was a challenge at some point. We kind of had to learn it all. Through the years, we've hired some experts who know how to run events, especially in our production side. But truly, our core team that have run this event for the past 4 years, 5 years, we're all just Bitcoiners. So like there was no events experience that we brought to the table. I mean, we had to learn what a good floor plan is, and how to make booths, and who to contract, and how to make sure your contracts aren't screwing you over, and like the list just goes on and on. How to do an agenda, how to contact speakers. One thing that I learned that was fun was how to talk to senators and manage like the expectations and a little bit of the egos of senators and the senator staff, and making sure that they're in good speaking slots, who they're speaking alongside. I mean, it's just the list goes on and on. The difference between like a massive conference like ours and a normal kind of Bitcoin or crypto conference, it's in all the things that you don't see. Like it's so simple to throw a conference that is 50% of kind of what we do, but they'll never be able to like do all the crazy things we do, because like in that comes 5 years, 5 conferences, or really 7 conferences of like experience and lessons learned, and like brutal mistakes that have kind of led to it. So yeah, man, I mean, it's a journey. It's a journey to get to where we are right now, and it's going to be a journey to get through the next week. I'll tell you that too. Like this is getting crazy, so we're going to learn a lot over the next week for sure.
Yeah, I got a lot of sympathy for you guys. It's I've sponsored the Bitcoin Day Naples, like Bitcoin Day for Naples and Miami, and a couple, some of those smaller one-day conferences, and I've seen, how much goes into preparing for that. I feel bad for the media team putting on all that stuff, so I can't imagine how you guys coordinate something at this scale. And it's always, every year has been fantastic. Definitely probably the premier conference of the year.
Thank you. Yeah, one like easy example of this was in 2019. Our main stage, in order to get the images we want on the projector behind the speaker on the main stage, we just HDMI'd in a laptop with whatever we wanted to show, right? Versus now, we have like a full AV setup where files are like remastered by the AV team after we send it to them.
Oh, wow.
Like the run of shows is gone through multiple times before the event and then isn't touched. It's like, almost locked away in like a safe place. Like there's just so many kind of processes and things that we have to do in order to like do the level of production that we do for this event. So it's truly just it's been cool to see us grow up with it and be able to kind of do more cool things and more sophisticated things.
Yeah, I've been impressed. Was 2019 the year when there was like the fire people? They were so concerned about a fire that you couldn't stand in the hallways, and they had these people going up and down telling everybody to get out of the auditorium. You remember that? I can't remember what year that was.
That was 21. That was 21.
Oh, that was 21.
Yeah, no, that was the year. So shout out to Mayor Suarez, because that was the year that the fire marshal almost shut us down.
Oh,
and
really?
The mayor himself had to step in and like prevent that from happening, basically. Like if Mayor Suarez hadn't have been there, our event would have been shut down.
That's insane.
Like,
it's hard to believe.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. He was like standing there watching people stand on the walls like you're talking about. And he looked at us and he was like, if every single one of those people isn't out in the next 15 seconds, I'm shutting this down. I'm pulling the plug right now. And we were like, please stop. Like, hold on. Like we were scrambling to try and like keep it all together. And then Mayor Suarez like swoops in out of nowhere and just, I don't even know what they talked about. He pulled him aside. And then, he never said like basically another word to us.
These bureaucrats are just unbelievable. I mean, just stuff that they just like does it really matter if there's 124 people instead of 120 people? Like, is it really going to make that big of a difference whether there's a fire by some like super like improbable event? It's just so silly.
Yep.
It's so silly.
I'm
just going to ruin everybody's day over this just utter nonsense. But the past couple conferences in Miami the venue has been great. I mean, it's been huge. It's been easy to get into. It's been nice. You've got that big bull there. So with this move to Nashville, do you think, I mean, there's been so many great conferences in Miami. Are you going to be back to Miami the following year? Is there going to be a different city? Have you guys thought that far ahead? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, now that we're at the size we are, there's only a handful of venues kind of around the US that can support the event. So we have to think about it a little bit ahead of time, which is annoying because it'd be great if we could kind of like take the experience of that year and then use that to determine where we're going next year. But we gotta project pretty far ahead. So we've got next year already in the books. We'll announce it at the event. We'll do a little pomp and circumstance around it and make it fun. But yeah, it's
You're gonna hold out on me here. Come on, Brandon.
It'll be a fun place. I can't tell you anything. It'll be fun.
Don't hold out on me here. Well, I hope you guys don't leave Miami. I hope you guys do come back there. I mean, that's just a great city, great vibe, great energy, and hopefully Nashville is awesome too, right? So, but so many great memories in all these places.
For sure.
Looking forward to another great conference this year.
No, we love Miami. I mean, that'll always be like our humble beginnings in some ways. So, I mean, it definitely didn't stay humble. It got big quick, but that's kind of the Miami fire that just pours on it.
That's the truth.
Yeah, no, it's we would definitely return to Miami one of these years for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
So it sounds like it's not going to be next year. That's what I'm getting from what you just said. A little deductive reasoning here.
Maybe I'm being more candid.
I don't know. We'll have to see. So it looks like reading the tea leaves, next year might not be Miami. So I guess we'll have to stay tuned and figure out what it's going to be.
Stay tuned.
Don't forget about Miami. It's a good spot.
For sure.
All right. So let's see here. How can our audience engage with the conference on social media or through other channels? What's the best way?
Yeah, follow us at the Bitcoin Conf on Twitter and Instagram. Those are kind of our two main channels, I would say. Make sure you subscribe to Bitcoin Magazine YouTube, where we'll be pushing out all the content. And yeah, we try and man our handles pretty well. So, if you're reaching out on any of them and needing anything, give it a go, and we'll hopefully follow up pretty quickly. If you don't hear from us, of course, you can always hit us on the contact flow on our website. We're manning that thing 24/7. I will say the contact flow right now is nuts. Like we're getting around, let's say, 25 mainstream media hits a day of different like mainstream press that are all FOMOing into this event because they realize like how
Trump's
big
gonna
this
be
event
there.
could be. Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be
it's
gonna be unreal. I'm so excited.
This is gonna be historic. I mean, it's gonna be historic. So I hope everyone's ready.
I don't know if we can be fully prepared, but I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah.
But that's all I got for you, Brennan. Is there anything else you wanted to say or announce or talk about before we go?
No, I mean, keep your eyes on maybe the announcement feed over the weekend.
Okay.
There's a little something that we might be sitting on right now, waiting to get out there, and it may not happen, but it might happen. So keep your eyes out. You'll know when you know, kind of thing. Like you'll know when you see it.
A firm maybe.
Yeah.
There may be an announcement.
There may be an announcement. The announcement of an announcement.
This is an announcement of a maybe of an announcement.
But hey, man, I'm so pumped. I'm so excited to see everyone there. This has been a labor of love for over a year to put this thing together, and it's all come together in a really spectacular way. So, we do this for the love of Bitcoin. We do this because we're all Bitcoiners who want to see this thing succeed. And if it means we got to orange pill the president of the United States in order to, make a great conference, that's what we'll do, So
I love
whatever it takes, man.
Is there a possibility that it could be Elon Musk making an appearance at the conference? Am I hitting on something here?
Oh, it's a great question. Yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't be able to confirm that, but
But you can't deny. You're not denying it, right?
I'm not denying it outright, but I wouldn't want to set people's expectations up for something crazy.
Okay. Well, Donald Trump's pretty crazy. That's a pretty crazy one. So.
Trump's pretty crazy. Yeah. So just keep your eye out over the weekend, see what happens, and we'll have some fun next week. We only have 7 days to make any last minute crazy things happen. So.
All right.
Who knows?
I got faith in you guys.
All right, dude. Well, I much appreciate the time. It's been fun.
Yeah, brother. It's been great chatting, and let's link up at the conference.
Can't wait. See you soon.
All right, brother. I will see you in Nashville.